Hey, what's up, viewer? Welcome back to the Nebulous Hour2, and there's a little project I need to tackle first, and that is the fact that I've decided to reorganize the player data This makes it very convenient to it just ends up being very convenient for organization and function gathering. This we are going to factor out each of these sections. And actually, in particular, it's just under the game folder. Okay, so basically, just to keep this simple, I'm going to make a player data folder, and I guess these can both go in there. The other data I slapped on there was star data, which I think it's probably not a bad idea to place all of the player data components in the player data folder, is what I am imagining here. So I'm looking for star data, which is going to be in galaxy generation star data. So I'm going to drag this down to player data. And since I'm reworking it like this, I'm actually debating on adding a new game object, which I had this before, but it's just player events. I can even perhaps call it data events. And more or less, actual update events can go in this instead. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is run through here and generate a mono behavior for each of these. So we've got nebula spawning, we've got total economy, current active selection, active scanning, notice like this, called economy data. Iterate player economy data. Research investment. We also have total infrastructure. And player input as well. And I also have a miscellaneous data value, which means the only one I'm really debating on here would be iterate player economy. I'm just going to call this player economy iteration to differentiate. Alright, so now I need to select player data, and then I'm going to click plus, and it should add every single one of these scripts. Okay, good. And now, so player input isn't going to work because I have a different player input thing going on here somewhere. Oh, action map names. So you have to rename it to player input data for now. Alright, so while we have it here, all I have to do is grab player data script, go down to player input, cut this out, and throw it in here. Remove. Run over to this and see where we break things. Double. I was kind of hoping there was a way to close it by default, but maybe not. I'll have to look in the settings later. Okay, so now all we have to do is come in here and let's see. We no longer have okay, so there's a way to like do something like this. And I can set it up to, essentially it would be nice to one day have the player, give the player the option to download, have a longer download but faster game load, or a faster download but longer game load. At one point it would be nice to give the player that option. Alright, so right now we're not looking for player data, we're looking for something else. So what we're looking for is player input data, right? And from here we have to say, and the easy way to do it is going to be game object.find player data. And then from this we have to say get component player input data. And let's see. So then we also have to come around here and fix these. And I guess that's where having it in one spot is more convenient, perhaps. So you're gonna have to go like this. And then from here, we will have to grab all of the relevant data. So we need the player input data. We're going to need the camera data. Oops, wasn't trying to do that. Hold on. And then for some reason this is complaining. Oh, because it's just a game object. Okay. So now we're looking at switching this with camera data, and I think that should be fixed now. So now let's go back to the compiler and see what's up. We should have a couple more things that broke. So player data does not exist in these contexts. Let's see where else are broke things. Action map names. So that was camera data, right? Find player data, and I'll have to change this anyway. Game object. Player data is game object of find. And then let's see, action map names, once again, that's camera data. So camera data equals player data dot get component player data. Or, excuse me. Camera data. And then these two player data get shifted with camera data. And no, that's not correct, excuse me. It is not actually camera data I'm looking for, it is oh, player input data. Okay, my bad. And then we just have to append those here. Or append that here. And let's see what else we've got. Camera. So we're still looking at camera data also anyway. And then just same thing, replace these with camera data. So in this instance, we're going to need to cache camera data anyway. Let's pull this out of here. And then camera data is used to do these two, I think. Alright, so let's see what else we've got. A lot of that is also camera oriented, if I'm not mistaken. Transitions, adjusters, current values, so looking at public player data in this instance, but doesn't need to be public. You can just say game object player data. Then in here we have to say player data equals game object.find named player data. And I might even be able to optimize that by using a tag. I'm not entirely sure. Then from, let's see here, start and update. Yeah, okay. So we might as well cache it and see where it goes from that. So we're gonna need camera data. And current active selection is not camera. Current active selection. This, like literally all of the rest of them are camera related. That's not. So current galaxy tier. I mean, that's almost a camera data. That is almost a camera data, isn't it? So even though player data has current galaxy tier down here, I kind of want to put current galaxy tier in here as quote-unquote current view tier, more or less. I'm going to change it to current view tier. And then yank this out. Now let's come back over here and change this to say current view tier. Current nebula selection. Is that under current active selection? It is. So I need to do the current active selection option here. And I like it being called data, to be honest with you. So I'll consider that. But now we're looking at player data, and we're yanking current active selection. And then we're still over here looking at, oh, we're gonna just need, we're just gonna need it actually, so, man, I cannot deny that I like the idea of being called current active selection data. Cannot deny that. So let me run up here and I'm just gonna have to rechange, I have to rename this. if I can open the right one here. So current active selection data. And more or less, I just have to get a current active selection data and then call it that, basically. And then down here, CASD equals PlayerData.getComponent current active selection data. And then this, I think this is all, literally all the rest of it is current active selection data. Whoops. Oh, okay. So alright, so all that should be fixed. And that just leaves these two to be switched with current active selection data also. Alright, so that script should be fixed now. Probably going to be some more. Now we're up to 88 broken parts, but that's understandable because I yanked it in so many places. Okay, so now we're looking at default galaxy camera position. So that's a camera data. And we have to replace these with camera data, basically. Alright, so that's solid. So change color on hover. On start grabs player data. Current active selection, cameras and okay, so we're gonna need, once again, we're gonna need current active selection data. And we're gonna need camera data. And we're going to have to scrap this, or we don't have to, but we will scrap this, and we'll have to say game object player data game object dot find player data. Then CASD equals player data get component current active selection data. We also have camera data equals player data get component camera data. And then we have to come down here to camera is in transition, which let me double check. Okay. So yeah, this is camera data. This is current active selection data. This is current active selection data. Alright, so now we should be down to 85. Or down, actually, we're down to 83. Cool. And we're looking at interselected star system from Nebula. It's all it's really doing is referencing this from the outside, so I'm going to drag it in to the start, remove the public, make it a game object. And then we just need the current active selection data. See, that's so weird. It lowercases it in here. Whoops. I literally just had to type P. It's actually straightforward, huh? It's not that smart, but it's almost that smart. And then these are all the same, so we can just say current active selection data. Alrighty. And it's just basically the same old over and over again, because I didn't do this from the beginning. But I'm getting used to how I act. So C, it actually knows what I want. Look at that. Equals PlayerData.getComponent current active selection data. I wonder if it's like source generating for me or something. Okay, so it's just gonna be wash, rinse, repeat here. Camera, 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 current active selection. I think it's mostly camera stuff. So, oh, actually, hold on. It's in, that has an update. So I need to keep player data up here. Oh, but it needs to be a game object. And I'm going to need the, let's see, active selection and camera stuff. And then come down here and it's right, and then let's see here. So player data. Oh, I'm actually gonna try something here. So current active selection is current active selection data. So I'm gonna copy that. Then I'm gonna grab current active selection stuff. Copy it in. Okay, good. That worked. So to the same degree, camera data. I can just go like this. And I think all of these are camera. And then these two are current active selection, and then these 5 are camera related. Oh, and this is now called current view tier. Okay. Alright, so there we go. That had a lot of them actually. Alright, 55. Slowly but surely. Here we go. I'm not even using the star cluster, but might as well set up. Alright. So here we are again. Except for this is a game object. And it's just going to be go.find player data, and then current active selection data equals player data dot get component current active selection data. Right, and then copy this and replace it in these places. Clean up this gap up here. Close these. Take another look. All right. Current active selection. Copy it. Place it in here. So P dot and that equals game object.find player data. Oops, and I forgot a T. A variable T. And same thing is current active selection data. Current active selection data equals player data dot get component current active selection. Oops. It actually knows as soon as I put the. It knew there for a split second. Alright, so this one's gonna have like a bazillion in there. Dang. Alright. Alright, so player data is no longer what it appears to be. It is in fact now excuse me, my bad. It is in fact now just a game object find. And from here, we're going to need a few things. So camera, nothing is in start, so everything we need is actually on the outside. So we're looking at camera data. All right. Connective selections like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's quite a few. So connective selection is also involved. Connective selection data. Connective selection data equals player data dot get component current active selection data. And at least these get replaced with this. this gets replaced with it. Active scanning radius object. Is that an current active selection data? No, it isn't. So, active scanning radius object. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's part of active scanning. So I have to yank that. Alright, so active scanning. I'm going to rename it to active scanning data. That makes a lot of sense. And then yank active scanning values out of here. Just put them in here. Yank the header. Save the player data. And then jump back over here to see what else broke, basically. But we're looking at active scanning data. Okay. ASD, ASD, ASD equals player data, get component, ASD. Cool. And that goes in a couple places here. It goes active scanning, active scanning, active scanning, active scanning. And then once again, current active selection. Current active selection. Ah, crap, whatever. Might as well. Anything else? Just the active scanning radius object again. And that's just going to be these two. Alright. I think it's everything for now. We'll have to take a look. Actually, it just makes me think I forgot something. So now there's a bunch of, now that we have a lot of new ones. I actually can't believe how many things I broke, just on a quantitative level. Okay, so active scan form. Which is active scan data. So player data start and an update. But we also are going to need active scanning data. Oh, and then we're changing player data to game object. And I'm not even sure player data is needed on the outside because all it is a query anyway. Doesn't need to get the component, it's just finding it. And then we're getting the active scanning data. And we are replacing the player data instances with the active scanning data value, and that's everything for that one. So that says, oh, okay, so this is an iterated player economy. And I changed that to, oh. So let's make this data events, and then iterated player economy is technically that. The rest of them oh. iterate player economy data. Open this up, and we're just going to rename it. Okay, and then these might belong in here. I'm not sure. For now, let's just grab them all. And then once we're back in the editor, take another look at just what is screwing things up here. And let's see here. So it's got an update. Oh, I forgot that I had all this in here. Jeez. Okay, so once again, we aren't caching this anymore. You're going to need, it looks like we're going to need iterate, okay, so IPED, and we are going to have to say IPED equals PlayerData.getComponent at player economy data. Economy, current active selection also. Nice. And it looked like we're also going to need one other thing, which was total economy. Seconds per tick, total economy infrastructure, total economy gain per tick. So we need total infrastructure also. And I'm just going to rename this to say data, of course, and then yank out these parts here. Place them in here, of course, and oops, it's just one value anyway. Okay, so player data seconds per tick is iterate player economy data. So let's see how these go. Okay, so total economy infrastructure is from, it's going to be from total infrastructure data. So total infrastructure data equals player data get component total infrastructure data. And that, in fact, is what goes here. Total economy gain per tick is still iterate player economy. Total economy infrastructure, economy research, investment parallel value is also iterate player economy data. Total econ infrastructure, though, is infrastructure data. Economy research is research, isn't it? Alright, so we're going to have to move there also. Damn, now I'm up to 141 errors. Alright. Research investment data also has to plug it up here. Research investment data. Research investment data equals player data component research investment data. And that has to do with economy research. And then total economy gain per tick. Iterate player economy data. I might rename this to just player economy data. But I guess I can leave it in there for now. Okay, so current active selection. Let's see. Current active selection, current active selection, current active selection. Scan range, scan frequency, that's active scanning data. Active scanning data equals player data dot component active scanning data. Active scanning data then will replace both of these. Oh no, they're research. My bad. And then we're looking at current investing queue. Is an iterate player economy data, if I'm not mistaken. Current active selection. Current active selection, current active selection, current active selection. Active selection, previous economy infrastructure. Let me see. I don't think I can peek this, can I? It does have that. All right, and then same thing down here. We just have the current active selection data goes into the current active selection. Whoops. Okay, so switch those, but this is once again research. And let's see here. So current investing list, total economy gain, total economy infrastructure. So these aren't all exactly correct, but let's just go with the ones we know will change, which is like most of these basically. All right, and let's see which ones of these still break. And we're looking at, okay, so total infrastructure data. So I know a bunch of these will fill in. Ah, crap. Oh, never mind. Okay, so total infrastructure, total economy infrastructure, total economy infrastructure. Oh, whoops, messed that up. This one's just research investment data. And then total economy. I guess I haven't swapped that one over yet, have I? Once again, we're going to rename it to total economy data. Open it up. Total economy data. Yank this out. Put it in here, and now we're going to have to grab one more then. We're going to have to grab total economy data. Total economy data equals player data, get component, total economy data. Copy total economy data. And let's see here. I think everywhere, I guess it's not going to technically be everywhere, but man, it'd be cool if I could just select those a little differently. Total economy. Display total economy? It is under there. And then active scan data. Active scanning data. Alright, so if there's one lost in the sauce, I'll just come back. The compiler will find it, I'll come back and grab it. Player data is now switched. We only have one data type left in here anyway. Alright. So now we get to make the run down the list. And take a look at what else we need here. So what did this float have as a... Oh, it just has a float. Okay. So it's no longer player data like this. I'm going to have to use the start method to grab the player data per our new arrangement. And I'm going to need, technically this goes here. Economy research. Trying to remember what the heck I called, it's just research investment. So research investment data. Equals p dot tab caret r tab caret parenthesis semicolon. And now these get replaced here. Same thing for scanning frequency research. So we're going to have to add a float, or not a float, we're going to have to add start, and then say game object, player data equals game object find player data. Then we will have to cache the research investment data and assign the research investment data to player data component research investment data, and then replace both of these player datas. Now might be a good time for you to go take a break, because this is it. This is all that's going to be happening is I have to very simply rewrite all of this code. But if I do it like this, I think it will help keep the editor more organized. As long as I can figure out a way to collapse them by default. That would be the main thing. If they're all open by default, that sucks, kind of. Or if there's a way to toggle them open, that would be cool. So let me see here. Game object, player data. I have to make a custom editor for that. Okay, so now we need, once again, research investment data. The name works for me. These are almost like the exact same. They're almost the exact same scripts over and over. Whoa. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, well, after working on refactoring for an hour, I've only managed to be stuck with 120 errors created due to my player data referencing, which is a great example of rigidity within a system. But I'm now addressing it a little differently, so I think in the long term it will actually be better on memory, because instead of every single component getting a reference to the entire player data, it is now only grabbing the data in smaller parts, like smaller chunks of data. So it doesn't actually need to do those wasteful copies anymore. And then it helps in the editor side, but when I come back, this is essentially all I'm going to be doing, is fixing all of these. And I still haven't yanked the final nebulous spawner sect yet, so like it's going to have even more, but that's what I gotta do. So I appreciate that you have watched the video up to this point, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.